The desert night had a way of stripping people down to nothing but bones and breath. Coyotes howled far out, dust settled cold across the earth, and the stars burned sharp enough to slice. Jed McAllister rode slow through the emptiness, his horse half lame, his canteen lighter than a rattlesnake's hiss. He wasn't looking for salvation, men like him didn't. They just survived until death finally caught hold. That's when he heard it. A cry, thin, cracked, desperate. He pulled the reins, squinting through the dark. On the far side of a broken wagon lay a woman, clothes torn, hair tangled with grit, her body curled around something she held close. Her lips moved again, but only a whisper floated through the night. Jed swung down, boots crunching sand. "You alive, miss?" Her eyes flickered open, hazel, but bloodshot. She looked like she'd been dragged through hell and left there. She tried to sit, but her legs failed. When she spoke, her voice was dry and sharp, the kind that begged and warned all at once. "Water," she rasped. "Please, just a drink." Jed took the canteen from his saddle and held it out. She snatched it with trembling hands, gulping until she choked. He pulled it back before she drained it. "You'll kill yourself that way." She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, eyes darting up at him. "Kill me. I'm already dead." Then her voice broke, low and trembling. "Unless..." Jed frowned. "Unless what?" The woman's fingers went to the edge of her torn dress. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to pull at the fabric, baring skin pale against the dirt. She lifted her chin, but shame flickered in her eyes. "Take what you want," she whispered, each word heavy as a bullet. "Just don't leave me here." The desert seemed to still. No coyote cry, no wind, just that offer hanging between them like a rattler coiled to strike. Jed stared, jaw tight. He'd seen plenty of things in his years. Blood spilled over poker debts, men gutted for less than $1, women sold cheap in saloons, but this cut deep. Slowly, he dropped to one knee. He took her hand, still clutching at her torn dress, and lowered it gently. "That ain't how you survive out here, miss." His voice was steady, cold as steel but soft at the edges. "Keep your dignity. You'll need it more than me." Her eyes widened. "You don't want me." Jed shook his head. "What I want don't matter. What you need is water, shelter, and someone who won't take advantage when you're down." He nodded at the bundle she held against her chest. "That your baby?" Tears broke before she could nod. The cloth shifted, and a tiny face peeked out. Frail, lips cracked but alive. Jed's gut twisted. A mother, trying to sell herself just to keep breathing another day. He didn't ask where the father was. He could guess, dead on the trail, or worse. He stood and held out his hand. "Come on, you ride with me. Ain't much of a plan, but it's better than dying out here." She hesitated, then took it. Her skin was fever hot, her grip weak. He hoisted her onto his horse, baby and all, then swung up behind. As the horse lurched forward, she leaned into him, her breath shaky, her body too tired to hold its own weight. For miles, neither spoke. The desert stretched endless, shadows long under the moon. Jed kept his eyes on the horizon, but his thoughts not at him. Why was he helping? He'd buried his own wife years ago, left behind a little grave no bigger than a whiskey barrel. Since then, he'd promised himself no ties, no weakness. And yet here he was, riding with a stranger who'd offered her body just to live. When dawn broke, they reached an old line shack, one of the abandoned stations riders used to water horses. The roof sagged, the door hung loose, but it was shelter. He brought her inside, laid her down on a bed of hay, and started a fire. She watched him, eyes heavy with both fear and disbelief. "Why?" she finally whispered. "Why help me?" Jed set the pot over the flames, his voice low. "Because once, somebody should have helped my wife. And I wasn't there. Can't fix that, but I can make damn sure you don't end up bones in the sand." Her lips trembled, but no words came. She just clutched her baby tighter and turned her face toward the fire. The days passed rough. Jed hunted jackrabbits, fetched water from a half-dry creek, patched what he could of the shack. The woman, she'd told him her name was Clara, barely spoke. When she did, it was about the baby. Always the baby. Little Samuel, she called him. But not all was quiet. One evening, as the sun bled red across the sky, hoofbeats thundered in the distance. Jed's hand went to his revolver. 3 riders approached, dust pluming behind them. Their vests marked them, outlaws. He knew the look. Men who took what they wanted, left nothing but ruin behind. The leader grinned when he spotted Clara at the doorway, baby in arms. "Well now," he drawled, "ain't this a prize? Didn't reckon on finding a woman out here." His eyes slid to Jed. "And you, stranger, that your property?" Jed's voice was steady. "She ain't nobody's property." The outlaw laughed. "That's so. Looks to me like she could earn us a week's worth of whiskey down in Santa Fe." Clara stiffened, clutching Samuel so hard the child whimpered. Jed stepped forward, his revolver loose in his hand but ready. "You boys best ride on. Ain't nothing here worth dying over." The outlaw's grin faded. His hand hovered near his gun. "Or maybe there is." The air crackled with the weight of it. Clara's breath hitched, her eyes darting from one man to the next. She knew what men like that would do. She'd seen it before. Her legs trembled, but she stayed standing because she had no choice. Jed didn't flinch. "Last chance," he said, voice low, cold. "Ride." Silence. Then the outlaw's hand twitched toward his gun. Jed's revolver roared before the man's steel-cleared leather. The outlaw pitched backward, a hole clean between his eyes. The others froze, stunned. "You want to join him?" Jed growled. The two spurred their horses and vanished in a cloud of dust. The desert swallowed them quick, like it always did with cowards. Clara collapsed to her knees, tears streaking dirt down her cheeks. She'd pressed Samuel's face into her neck, rocking him, whispering broken thanks. Jed holstered his gun, jaw tight. He didn't look at her, couldn't. The sight of a woman begging for her life, clutching her baby, always tore open scars he thought he'd buried. That night, she came to him by the fire. Her hands shook, but she stood tall, eyes wet but burning. "I offered you my body once," she said, her voice hoarse. "You didn't take it. You saved me instead. I don't understand why." Jed stared into the flames. "Because you're more than that, Clara. More than what this world tried to make you." Her lip trembled. She sank down beside him, resting her head against his shoulder. For the first time, she allowed herself to breathe. The desert had nearly broken her. Men had nearly destroyed her. But one stranger, scarred by his own losses, had done what no one else had, seen her as a human being worth saving. And for Jed, holding her and the baby close as the fire cracked, it wasn't about redemption or penance anymore. It was about one simple truth. Sometimes, in a land built on blood and dust, the most shocking act a man could commit was mercy.